Let's start with authority and responsibility, which is a topic that has been talked about a lot because some of those short clips on TikToks of Andrew Tate's got pulled out and he claims they were taken out of context. There's a lot of discussion that's been around that. So let's go to 1756, Tyler, and let's have a listen.
Pierce, if a woman comes to me and says, I want you to keep me safe, she is handing me authority for her safety.
But do you understand the difference between having authority over somebody and somebody giving you permission to have authority?
Completely. I never said
one is consensual and one isn't.
But why are we pretending I do unconsensual things?
Because you literally say, I must have a degree of authority. I have to have some authority. And the point about
only if I'm responsible for her safety. If I'm not responsible for her safety, I don't have authority.
If your position now is that with her permission, I would like to have authority when we go out at night to protect her, that's a different
That was
thing.
always my position.
But that's not what you said.
But that was always my position, Pierce.
So again, I simply say to you,
It is what I said, though.
Do you wish you'd phrased it a different way?
No, because we're talking about long format copy where I'm talking about a woman who's come to me and said, you're
So here's the disconnect, and this will happen throughout the interview, and I think that with Tate on this issue, this has happened a lot. People hear the authority, regardless as to whether you agree with it or not, people hear the authority and responsibility argument and they assume that he's talking about something oppressive, that he's talking about something that's not consensual, and that he's saying essentially, I am going to have authority over women, meaning I'm going to bar the door shut, I'm going to make all the decisions, and that's what that means by authority. That's not what he's saying. What he's talking about are paradigms that exist where men and women get into relationships and women defer some of that authority to men because they expect men to protect them and to take care of them. For example, a woman enters a relationship and says, listen, I expect you to provide. I expect you to put a roof over my head. I expect you to pay the bills. I expect you to physically protect me and to learn how to use a firearm and to know your self-defense. And if there's an intruder, to protect me and our children. And in turn, I am going to defer some authority on something. So if the guy then turns around and says, okay, well, then I don't want you walking around, this neighborhood at night that's dangerous because I'm given the responsibility to protect you. And I can't do that if you're doing that. That woman then decides, okay, cool. That's what he's talking about. Now, you don't have to like that dynamic for yourself if you're a female and you're listening. You don't have to like that dynamic for yourself if you're a male. But what we are talking about here is a consensual decision. And that word, authority, reads as oppressive to people who can't relate to a dynamic like that being appealing to them. So this becomes an emotional reaction to the argument. Instead of just saying that's not a dynamic that would interest me, they don't do that. They label it as oppressive because that's how the modern world has labeled that. In the same way, you'll hear a lot of religious people, by the way, talk about the man of the house. There's a biblical interpretation of the man of the house and what that means. That's not relatable to people in 2022 in large part. They can't understand it. It's like it's a sign of oppression. Just keep in mind, though, he's saying this is by choice. This is elective. This is not oppressive by Andrew Tate's definition of what he meant. Okay, let's go to 1913. Poor Tyler.
Understand it
Would
fully.
you tell an 18-year-old boy you don't have authority over women?
Absolutely.
You would say that?
Unless a woman comes to him and says, you're responsible for my safety, please make sure keep me safe. Like
I
my
see.
woman
Now
says,
that
comes to
Andrew
me.
Tate I can sign up to.
Well, then we agree.
Yeah, but I don't agree with what you said before.
Because you're taking a soundbite from a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah, but you haven't been taken out of context because I read you the entire sentence. It's very.
But you've ignored all the context around the sentence, my friend.
Okay. So again, we get back to this conversation about what's going on YouTube, what's going on TikTok. We unfortunately live in a world where this stuff's going to get chopped up. There are times when I myself on my own show, on this platform, we have a team that cuts, shorts and short clips where a short will be cut and I'll say on my own, you know what? We need a little bit of context before or a little bit of context after. So we add it in. We add it in because we want to provide that. Someone else isn't going to give me the benefit of the doubt. They're going to chop up something I say here. It would be very easy to come into this show, particularly because I say a lot of stuff I push the envelope, to come in here and chop stuff up. This is a reality of the world that we're living in right now. It's not just happening to Andrew Tate, it's happening to everybody. So we need to evaluate that and recognize this is how people make money with these little sound bites. And that's where we are. So he's not going to, even if he had caveated some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, even if he had said, you know, I want to be clear, this is not an oppressive structure, I can guarantee you someone would have chopped that out. Because it would ruin the clip for them. They want outrage. They want you mad. They want you fired up. That's the whole goal. If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here. And if you want to ask me a question one-on-one, you want to do a one-on-one FaceTime with a group of your friends, whatever you want, you need to download Connect right now. Click right here and let's get talking.